get on the bus and find out your weekly slice of the news for the Empire, our history, and the wider world. Welcome back to the broadcast Uldarash service. I'm your host, Ollie Ashwood. On today's news, we'll be talking to a special guest from the Kingdom of Sanctuary to discuss more about the monarchists' point of view for the Civil War. We'll also be covering some recent updates in regards to provinces around the Empire, and also be discussing an update to the weather. Our top story today: the Kingdom of Sanctuary is giving their response to the Empress's, or should I say former Empress's, response last week on the broadcast Uldarash service to the outbreak of the Uldarashi Civil War. Let's talk more now to the Queen and find out what she has to say.
So, Scotch, while we have you here today, we've had some questions lined up from Montroy, and one of them was they're interested in your take on the coup. What is your opinion on it, and what's the Spirit Knight take on it?
Well, the Spirit Knight take is, we were the ones kind of pushing for Quasar's removal, not for personal hate, but, for the sheer fact that too much democracy in an empire like Uldarash leaves so much room for shit to go wrong. These guys are the predecessors, the people that basically made Uldarash, for the first place. They obviously have a lot more experience than Quasar does. We just kind of, all their reforms on paper were good ideas, but at the end of the day, they just would not work for Uldarash, and we kind of saw a breakdown of agreement from both sides. A bunch of Aurorans and monarchist folk, towards the weeks leading up, would always vote no on one thing or yes on one thing, and Montroy, Galheim, and some other folks would always vote yes. It was kind of a clear-cut thing that I would see. This group would always vote no on the other one's propositions. I knew it would lead to something eventually, but for the fact that, Quasar starting a full-on Uldarash civil war for the sheer fact that they were kicked out of office, just a little bit cringe, in my opinion.
Yes, it is quite unfortunate, and the timing has been very unfortuitous. That being said, there was a recent battle at K9 that came out about 42-4. Do you have anything that you'd like to talk about that, or your take on that?
My take on that is, for one, Imperial Uldarash. We absolutely swept the floor with them, even though, both sides fought hard. Our side is much more experienced with actual warfare. While their armies are strong on one level, they don't have nearly the amount of actual combat experience as Uldarash's army. And I can kind of see some, the fringes of their rebellion starting to realize we might have made a mistake here.
So, if Quasar were to lose, what would you like to see happen with the Empire and with Uldarash as a whole?
To be honest, I hope we more have learned from this more than anything else. I hope both sides, actually learn how to prevent this in the future. But with the current state of things, I'm not quite sure if we can move on past this with the amount of threats, poking their heads in the world. But I know this will be resolved in the future. In terms of what'll happen to Montroy and Alfheim, I'm not sure what we have entirely planned. I know we want, reparations for all the trouble they have caused. But in terms of actual punishment, I don't know. How do you punish someone that, has started sown instability in the biggest empire of the world?
Yes, it's going to come down, I think, probably to the High Judge and, the High Council and all that. So I don't know if they think that you're going to have some insight that they wouldn't, but I would think that that's probably how it would come down to.
Yeah.
Well, that's the questions that we have lined up for Montroig. I think we're going to go to another segment now. Thank you for answering my questions, and now I think I'll bring it back to the others.
Thank you, Zam. What an elaborate and interesting story now that we have building up around the Empire's ongoing civil war. God knows when the next delay to it will be, but hopefully we'll be fighting soon. In other news, we have some updates from around the province. We will now cover them each one by one. Chevkri, your weekly update is as followed. Sabazons, the son of the Apex, has been engaged to Helios. A huge congratulations here from the team at the station. I hope that I receive an invite so I can cover it next week in our weekly news update. There's also been some honourings of Robot, Brenadon, Pius, and 20 for their assistance in dealing with Astralaz. I hope I didn't butcher their name as badly as you butchered them. Once again, several nations have asked for land to be sold to them by Chevkri, and astoundingly, the response has been no. I'm sure that is a shock to literally no one. Welcome, Aurons, to your weekly slice of the news. The Berry Patrol. I don't need to say any more. Join us next week for an update to your news. Citizens of Boldaroth, your weekly news is as followed. King Mimic has completed the quest the Boulder has set him on, and he has also created a new holy book called the Boulder's Whisper. Ooh. There are also new floating boulders hovering around. What holy magic has caused this? Who knows? Finally, Boulderism, as a religion, are collecting roots of the evil blue seed to sacrifice after the civil war has ended. Citizens of Alagrad, your weekly news. The renovation project for the capital is proceeding very well. However, there has been a request from the Sultan that some extra hands be deployed to help with the speeding up and finishing of this project. There will also be a gladiatorial tournament hosted in the near future, so keep an eye on this space to find out more information. My fellow civilians, welcome to your segment of the weekly news update. As you're all very much aware, the capital is proceeding at a steady rate, and there will now be a new influx of players, as all new players are requested to head to the capital immediately for settlement. We're also continuing with our new promotion of the 5 Divines. The religion has begun being set up, and there are a lot of open positions, so make sure you contact Duke Logan if you have any questions. Finally, we want to welcome the new players inside the province of Alda. We're looking forward to working together to make the Kingdom of Severnia stronger. Today's weather update. The sky is raining water. It's finally not blood. I cannot tell you how excited I am. The sun, once again, still in the sky, seems to be on fire. All is well, and I'm happy to report that there is no weird weather patterns at this precise time. That's all we have time for today on this episode of the Broadcast Uldarash Station. Tune in next episode where we'll cover some more history around the world, around the Empire, and to give you your weekly slice of the news.